Are we
We're live.
We're live. Welcome to the Finished Business Podcast. I'm your host, Nick.
Welcome back.
Co-host- Yeah, thank you. Co-host Brad
That's me.
and Lance.
Lance the Vegan, right here.
We have our Twitter handles down below us, but for people who aren't watching, my Twitter handle is at NKMCQUAIN, and that's my Twitter handle. Brad?
Mine is at redsquirrel_7.
And I am at Lance the Vegan.
Perfect.
Look at me go.
Lance the Vegan.
Is Longboard Island Lager vegan?
I think so.
Cool.
Beer is vegan, right? Unless you get like a cream ale. That has
Ah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Is beer vegan? I know that it's probably not gluten-free.
Probably not.
Definitely not gluten-free. There is gluten-free beer though. That does
Yeah.
exist.
You know, I got...
Just so you know, folks, gluten-free means it just doesn't have any wheat in it. Milk has been gluten-free the entire
Right?
time.
Yeah, so I just was at a place and I got some pineapple juice in a little can. And on the side, it's like kosher and all this stuff. But on the side, it said gluten-free.
It's like, no kidding,
this-
there's no wheat in it.
Like,
All right.
like they're starting to put that on all
all
these items now that have always been gluten-free. But like pineapple juice.
Did they like up it by 50 cents? It's like gluten-free now.
They just do that so that you'll buy it if you're one of those crazy people.
Yeah, if you're on the fence about,
Hey,
two
I happen
different-
to know indirectly an individual who actually is allergic to the glutens and like actually has allergic reactions if she has any wheat products.
That kind of
Yes.
has to do with our topic for the
But
day.
that is one person, and that's I know that person through another person out of all of the people that I know that is actually like gluten intolerant.
So our topic today, we want to talk about food industry stuff, and a lot of that can be chalked up to food allergies and the gluten thing. But I want to let's do some current events first.
I like that.
Yes.
What's Muskie up to today?
Yeah, what's
Elon
all
Musk.
musky up?
I haven't really been paying much attention. He has a lot of stuff going on, and so I've kind of swayed away from that recently, just because I don't want to get too focused on Elon Musk.
Hey, he didn't get kicked off the board of directors at Tesla, so I think he's doing something right.
They were trying to, right?
Nah, it didn't work out. I mean, they had the power to vote him off. They didn't vote him off, so
He's a Rick and Morty fan. He was wearing a Rick and Morty shirt.
to
That was
his board meeting. That's absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. Yep.
Yeah. It's got the butter passing robot on it. My friend sent that to me.
So if they paint a pickle Rick on a missile, do you just call it Missile Rick?
That's a good one.
Missile Rick.
You ought to tweet that right now before someone else makes it up.
I'm
so
pretty
you
sure
can
I
get
got that
credit.
from somewhere else already. Sorry.
Oh,
No original ideas from me now.
So last time,
because you're a vegan.
Oh, I guess so.
So last time I was on the podcast, we talked about those scooters, those electronic scooters that people would pick up at nighttime and charge.
Oh yeah. How
Yeah.
are those working out?
Yeah, so it's not. There's a lot of people that are
Oh.
getting really pissed off about it. As more cities get them, they take up bike lanes. People go the wrong ways on bike lanes. You can't hear them coming because they're quiet. Their top speed is 15 miles an hour, which is faster than bicycles,
Yeah.
or can be faster than bicycles. So it's actually causing a lot of headache, because the whole cool thing about these scooters is that you can just drop them off anywhere at night, and someone will pick them up and then drop them off for you anywhere in the morning, and you have an app that tells you the location. Well, the thing is, they're just dropping them off in like people's doorsteps or in the middle of sidewalks, getting in the way. And so there's a lot of Portland is getting ready to take it on, but they have all these like, they're doing a month trial and there's stipulations because Seattle and San Francisco have already done it, and we can learn from their mistakes and stuff. But yeah, so it's not as cool as everyone thought it was going to be. People are trying to take them apart, and so some companies are putting alerts, like blaring alerts on them, like sirens. So if you try and take apart the motor to get the motor out of it, it'll just go beep, really high pitched.
I mean, I totally want to take one apart and see how it works
Just
and
disconnect the
modify
wire
it.
for the siren.
Modify
no
it
big
and
deal.
make it faster.
Yeah, there you
Make
go.
it faster, or I don't know. Make it put a little like Raspberry Pi on it with some Wi-Fi equipment, and it's like a little war driver. People ride around and you get Wi-Fi network
Just-
data.
Straight
Or
pipe the
anything
exhaust.
Kinda,
Yeah,
very nefarious purposes.
yeah. Yeah. You could figure out how to get the GPS information and figure out where people are going. make maps of people's lives.
Where did we come from? Where did we go?
Okay.
Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Yeah.
Is that where you were going?
You had to
with that?
finish it?
I guess, yeah. Well then, so our topic is food, and we covered it a little bit already with the whole like gluten-free thing.
Wait, but didn't Nick have something to say about the cruise ships?
Nick, yeah. Welcome back, Nick, by the way.
Welcome back, Nick.
Why were you gone last week?
I had a baby.
Holy smokes, you had
Wow.
a kid? Look at you go.
Yep, I had a baby. He's 3 days old now.
Wow.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Nick has a mini-me.
Yeah, I'm a father. Who would have thought?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Like, truly, congratulations.
Yep.
It's amazing. Cheers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers. Yep.
We'll have to do a podcast where we smoke cigars all together in celebration, I think.
Except for Lance the vegan. He won't smoke a cigar.
A puff? You don't even have
Oh, he said maybe to the puff. That shrug was a maybe.
I've never smoked anything ever before in my life.
Okay.
You know, that's that veganism thing.
I don't want to pressure anybody, so.
Are they vegan?
Okay, so yeah.
Speaking of peer pressure, why did the monkey fall out of the tree? Because it was dead.
Oh.
Why did the second monkey fall out of the tree?
Because it was also dead?
It was stapled to the first monkey.
That's terrible.
Why did the third monkey fall out of the tree?
I'm scared to.
Peer pressure.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I like it.
All right, bad jokes aside.
There's a bunch of stuff going on right now with cruise ships, and there was a cruise ship boom back in the 80s, like 85, when a whole bunch of cruise ships were being made.
Back before the economy tanked.
Yeah. Back, I tried to say, in one podcast, I tried to say Clinton was responsible, but it was like a way before Clinton. But our economy was doing good, and we were building all these cruise ships, and so they only have a 30-year lifespan for safety reasons, and so a lot of them are being sold to other countries, or they're being
Other countries where they don't have safety regulations.
yeah,
Perfect.
or
North Korea's like, we'll take those.
So a lot of big cruise ships are now being used for 3-day cruises from Florida to the Bahamas, and they're called booze cruises, and they're cheaper and they're shorter amount of times, less distance, and they're attracting more people than regular longer cruise ships.
They're cheaper. Imagine that.
What? And people getting super drunk, they probably sell a whole lot more stuff.
Yeah.
So like the initial price is a little cheaper, but maybe once you're there, you're like sucked in, and you got to pay more for more alcohol or better alcohol or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And like you got to have food to go with your alcohol too, so you're gonna pay extra for nicer food.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so like the price of the oil is going up, or there's something going on with that. So a lot of companies are getting rid of tankers, and so there's countries, there's like whole cities on coastlines of countries that
Somalia.
yeah, those kind of countries that will take freight liners and cruise ships and scrap them
For the steel?
for all the steel. Yeah, just take them all apart.
sounds like Somalia would probably forcefully scrap a tanker. Yeah.
Maybe they should buy the old tankers and turn them into cruise ships.
That
You
would be
know,
kind of a crappy cruise ship.
Or, I mean, they could turn it into something like in Waterworld,
yeah.
where they all live on the oil tanker ship thing.
So does
Have you
the
ever seen
country
how a
of
cruise ship is
Somalia
made?
just move on to cruise ships?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I've never seen how one is made.
They're made in like chunks and then assembled together, and most of the cabins are below deck, and so I don't think it would really. You know what would be cool is if you made a tanker, like a container ship, into a stadium, like a football stadium,
Oh.
or like a racetrack.
There you
'cause
go,
it's
yeah.
flat and big.
Have
You-
go-karts?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be cool.
What happens
As
if
That
you
would
like
be
break
pretty
the
cool.
rail and like go off the side?
Wait, what if you could
like in Mario Kart where you fall off?
Yeah.
you got the little ghost dude like bringing you back up with the crane. I can't wait. I want to go on one of these.
Well,
You could turn it into a floating concert venue
Ooh, yeah, they have those.
or a
yeah.
floating restaurant or
They have
something.
like fake Elvis on like every cruise ship.
I guess that would be a cruise ship, right? Fake Elvis.
Yeah, so that's just, I'm a little interested in that. I'm not really fully developed on the thoughts yet, but yeah.
So now that you
anyways.
have a kid, you want to take a kid on a booze cruise?
No.
Oh.
No, not really.
Baby beer. Sold near you.
No.
No, no,
No.
no. All right. All right. So the food industry.
Food industry. Here we go.
So I work in the food industry.
Look at you go. You work at a high-class establishment
Yes.
in our local area.
Yeah, so I work at a hotel with a restaurant in it, and we are.
And you work in the restaurant, right?
I work in the restaurant, in the kitchen.
In my own personal opinion, I would describe that particular venue as the second highest class venue in our town.
What was the first? Well, we can't say, can we?
Well, people know where we live, I think. I would say it's tied for first.
You think so?
What's first?
Your competitor in your parking lot.
White House Crawford?
You ever been there?
Yeah. No.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. The service there is bar none, straight
Oh,
up.
see, that's my problem. Every time I've been there, is the service has been not good.
Oh,
Really?
Oh, well, my
Oh.
experience has been exactly the opposite.
Yeah, mine too. I really like their building. I would say
Yeah.
the food is about the same. It's priced about the same, and it's both really good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like French-y kind of French fusion.
Yeah.
We have some of that too.
I really like their building, though.
So, last week's podcast, the lady sitting over here, Brad's wife, is
Mhm.
my boss, and she is the sous chef, and so I am the junior sous chef at this restaurant, and so yeah.
You know what's fancy when you got sous chefs? Sous chefs.
Yeah, there's like
That's a good one.
most
Yeah.
places
Yeah.
have one chef. We have like 6,
Right.
so
It's because you guys are super fancy.
super
Pretty much,
fancy
yep.
banquets, executive chef and sous chef and stuff like that. So I think that you guys should ask me a lot of questions for this podcast because you
Yeah.
all have spent many, many minutes discussing your guys' jobs
Yeah,
in
well,
the previous podcast. So
I actually have experience in the food industry, you know. I used to work at Burger
The
King.
BK.
okay.
And let me tell you, that was an experience. It took me a very long time before I ate at BK again.
Really? See,
Yes.
I worked at Jack in the Box,
Yeah?
so I can relate.
Yeah, yeah.
Being
Fat,
fast food.
So
I
Jack in
feel
the
like
Box-
fast food's a whole nother animal.
Jack in the Box is open every single day, 24 hours a day, including Christmas and
Yes.
Thanksgiving and all that. So were you there during that particular time?
Yeah.
So did you end up having to work any major holidays that
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't want to?
Yeah, but they would compensate for holidays at Jack in the Box.
Oh yeah,
Like
That's nice.
time and a half or double time or
Time and a half, like the standard overtime, I think.
So in your current job in the more posh restaurant, do you still have to work holidays and that sort of
Yes.
thing? And do they compensate you extra?
That is, we are privately owned. We are not a corporate entity, so it's based off of whatever the owner thinks. And so the owner, he's like, you're in the industry, so you have to work holidays. You're not going to get any extra compensation. So we don't get any extra compensation for working holidays. The place we work,
But
we do get other things.
the place that you do work, you have other benefits such as like higher pay compared to a fast food
And-
restaurant.
And
Yeah.
probably creative freedom.
Oh yeah,
Because
most definitely.
at Jack in the Box, it's just like you create this hamburger and you deep fry these fries. Where
Well, it's more like same with Burger King. Everything has to be done exactly the same way every single time.
Right.
The amount of sauce, the amount of pickles,
Yeah.
consistency is
and
number
at-
one.
And at Burger King, it was you had to put them on in a certain order too.
Yeah. Yep. Same. Yeah. So we know we're not talking about fast food, but they would pay people at Jack in the Box to go around and buy things and be like secret shoppers and
And make sure all the
make
burgers,
sure-
make
My
sure
mom
the
used to do
tomatoes
that.
are on like the
Yeah,
top and everything.
that the
Oh,
lettuce
wow.
is before the tomato. And
My mom used to do that.
yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Not just for food places, but she was a secret shopper.
yeah. I think that's cool. I think I want to do
That'd be
that
kind of a
'cause-
fun job, really.
Yeah, my mom was a secret agent, man.
Yeah.
Corporate espionage, or I mean, for themselves.
It's got to be amazing that a corporation is like that big. They can make that much money that they can just go around and send people like all over the world.
Well, quality control is a big
to
deal.
be
So,
quality control for places that are like thousands and thousands of miles away from corporate headquarters.
so we all know about 30 years ago when Jack in the Box. No, 20 years ago when Jack in the Box had the E. coli thing.
I actually didn't know about that.
This is before my time.
Yeah, I want to say I was like, I don't remember how old I was, but they lost a lot of money and they had to close a bunch of business down. A bunch of people died from E. coli from Jack in the Box.
Wow.
So this was, I want to say, the 90s. So now, when people, you said you'll never eat at Burger King again. Or
No.
while
It took me a while. I eat at
because you
Burger
were
King
behind the
occasionally.
scenes. And so I can say with a lot of confidence that I eat at Jack in the Box and will continue to eat at Jack in the Box because their standards are way better than any other place because they had that E. coli bullshit happen. Now
Mhm.
they have to
Now they have to abide by X rules.
they have like hourly hand washes and you temp things every hour and their standards are really good. So it's really safe to eat at Jack in the Box.
Well, I'm not saying that like Burger King is unclean or something. It's just some of the things, a lot of the things were frozen and then deep fried and then sat on a counter and then deep fried again right before you ordered them. And
Yeah.
it just seems kind of gross to me.
Per Washington State, you can hot hold something and it has to be at a certain temperature out of the danger zone. But you can hot hold it for like 2 hours. So you can make a hamburger patty at 7 o'clock in the morning and serve it at 9.
Yeah.
And that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. It's just, I wish it was fresher.
But you get what you pay for.
If
Right,
I cooked
exactly.
a burger on my barbecue and it was still there 2 hours later, I'd be very surprised.
Okay, but
Lance the vegan. At Lance
oh
the
yeah,
vegan.
you meant a veggie burger.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But no,
vegan
just for
veggie
all the
burger.
roommates and nothing for me, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. You have. Yeah, you're nice and cook meat for other people.
I cook lots of meat for other people.
So-
I just never consume any at all, ever.
So we were kind of talking about some more controversial topics with the food industry, like dietary restrictions.
So how about the government stance on what's healthy for you compared to what's actually healthy
The
for
food
you?
pyramid.
Yeah,
food
well,
pyramid.
And
Is that even
What
a
do you
thing
guys
anymore?
think about the
The-
food pyramid?
I think it's just dumb. I think that they.
You got all your wheats where you're supposed to eat all the wheats at the bottom, but like that's like crazy carb meals, and like if you actually want to be healthy, you want to have like a high fiber meal.
Well, but there's
and
a
high
lot of.
protein meal and like a low carb meal.
Well, that's all a matter of opinion. But the
Sure.
thing is, with the government, is they're supposed to be the people that say what is healthy and what's
But they've
not.
been influenced by the
In-
sugar industry.
Yes, and so
And other industries, yeah.
100% like the wheat industry as well, because carbohydrates really aren't that good for you. Like, I think that's common knowledge now.
Well, but that's the thing is there's conflicting data and conflicting opinions on that. It's not necessarily. I was listening to another podcast not too long ago. It was the Art of Manliness podcast, and they had a professional dietitian guy on there or whatever. He's like, no, you need carbs, especially if you want to build muscle.
Yeah,
But it's
energy.
It's like types of carbs, and you need to have it balanced with a bunch of other things. And it seems like the consensus is the reason people get fat is because they eat a lot of sugar and they eat a lot of carbs in comparison to the other things like fiber and protein and fats.
Yeah, and no one really mentions how addictive sugar is.
Yeah,
There's studies where they have like mice and rats and things like that, like on cocaine,
And they,
and compared to sugar, and they'll pick sugar over cocaine.
and that was
every
one of,
time.
that was one of the things the government, was for. I can't use my words very well right now, but it was one of the things the government was advocating was like fruits and healthy sugars and stuff. And
So how about like a long time ago, like back in like maybe the early 90s or the late 80s or whatever, they had this huge movement on low fat and no fat foods.
But you need fat.
But you need fat,
You
and,
guys
and
familiar-
there's no like actual solid evidence that fat makes you fat. Right?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where
It's sugar that makes you fat.
carbohydrates.
well, yes and no, but they're
Carbs come from sugars.
Right.
Empty carbs.
right, and I think that's the problem.
Quick carbs.
Yes, and you get empty calories too, and then so you
Like
don't
this beer.
right. So then you don't
Very
feel as
easy.
full, and you end up eating more. Honestly, like getting fat also comes down to, eating more calories than you burn,
Yeah.
and that's old school, but it's
Well,
true.
calories in, calories out. That's simple.
Right,
physics,
and so what happens is they eat
Exercise.
these sugary foods and these and a lot of carbs. And what happens is they are
They get hungrier quicker.
right because they don't keep you satiated as long, and they it's a lot of calories for not much space in your stomach or whatever.
Right.
And so you end up eating more calories than you burn, and that's how you get fat.
Right.
General distrust towards the government. That's how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, well, I generally distrust the government.
Yeah, so
I thought that was common knowledge at this
the
point.
food pyramid thing.
Mhm.
So like once a year it gets updated, or once every 2 years. And I remember growing up, there was a food pyramid that was like on the side of
Like every cereal box.
and
Yeah.
it was cool because like you got to see like hierarchical value of like what's most important, and that's changed since then.
Yeah.
But
But that's like what was ingrained into us as our generation as kids. We saw that on the side of our cereal boxes, so that's what we think is supposed to be right.
and that's
But now it's a plate, isn't it? It's called something, and it's like a plate.
well now they have. That's why they made the plates that are like portioned off.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the food pyramid, but redone.
Oh, so it's like a pie graph then.
Yes. Have you seen that?
No, I'm seeing it in my mind though.
Yeah. I think that's the newest one. I don't know for sure. I
Did
think
you
that's
get
the newest
tweet
one.
Sent off.
I did, but it says episode 9, and this is episode 10.
I need to share that.
Yes. But yeah, what do you think about like big farms and stuff too, pumping animals full of hormones to make them fatter, and the situation that you went to a
So Burger
a
King's got to get their chicken nuggets from somewhere.
right, but you went to a meat farm once, didn't you?
Nope, I did not. But back in my past, I've worked at an animal health supply store. Like, well, you guys, PGG. Most people don't know what it is, but animal health, where you go get shots for your dogs or grain for your cows, or animal health needs.
Mhm.
And it was a Simplot company. And on the West Coast, Simplot's huge. Simplot sells their potatoes to McDonald's for fries. So they're a big,
Wow.
huge farm in the Pacific Northwest. But when I worked at this health supply store, we did millions and millions and millions of dollars in business and vaccines for these mega farms that would, like, livestock yards. And we would sell, like, Pfizer products and, like, Novartis products. And these are products that they make for humans, too.
I don't know what those are.
Pfizer, okay, everyone knows what Viagra is.
Yes.
And Pfizer makes Viagra. Pfizer is a health
So
pharmaceutical company.
so it's a penis pill?
No.
Oh, it's
For
a
cows?
company. It's a company.
Yeah, okay, so I'm using Viagra as an example. Viagra is very well known, and it's made by the company Pfizer. And Pfizer makes all sorts of chemicals, medical stuff, vaccines and such. And so Drugs, exactly, pharmaceuticals. And so there's a huge business in selling these drugs to cattle places because, it's a mega farm and there's like so many cows all stuffed in, and they don't want them to get sick, so they give them this, they give them that, they give them all these antibiotics, they give them steroids, and it's just a huge business. And a bunch of people nowadays can't eat wheat, and they can't eat dairy. And now you're seeing a bunch of dairy stuff that says it's RBG, like steroid free. Like you see milk cartons and ice cream nowadays that say that they don't have these chemicals in them. And it's just
See,
all
back when I was a
business.
kid, this wasn't a thing that anybody thought about. But it was obviously happening back then because, like, shortly afterwards, like when I was in somewhere
There was
in
no
the neighborhood
gluten-free.
of, yeah,
There's
there,
absolutely no gluten free.
There
Well, I
was
think
not-
that's kind of a fad, but
yeah,
My opinion on that is it's called celiac disease, and that's where you can't digest certain things in wheat products. And I really believe that that's from, pesticides getting into our food chain.
yeah. But what I'm saying is, I think there's a lot of people who don't eat gluten, not because they actually have celiacs. There are legit people who can't tolerate gluten in their system, but I think that there are a lot of people who are like, gluten is bad for you. It makes your dick fly off, and then they don't eat gluten.
Yeah, so in my restaurant, we'll get people that order a Caesar salad, and they're like, no croutons, but this one crouton's okay. Or they're like, we're celiac, but you can put this crouton on. And I'm like, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, how does that? You don't have an allergy. It's an aversion, and it's a aversion towards
Right.
bread, or maybe you're trying to lose weight. And it just like, you just got busted, sir. Because if you are gluten free, you can't have this crouton.
Right. Or do you ever get somebody who is like, I need my meal to be gluten free, but then they order a beer?
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. Like people
Yeah.
ignorance, just don't completely understand. But do you guys know anything about the ketogenic diet?
So
Yeah.
keto.
That
Keto.
So that's
this
like
is Reddit's diet.
that's like low carb or no
Everything's
carb,
Reddit
right?
to you.
No, but that's like the approved official
It's Joe
Reddit,
Rogan's diet, actually.
Reddit diet.
You know who eats that is Malware Tech Blog. I forgot his real name, but he's
It's really supposed
a
to be
guy
good
on
for
Twitter
you.
So it's
he's cool.
basically like cuts out
Yeah,
all
what is it?
all dairy, and it cuts out all.
Wait, dairy's out on the keto?
No.
I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to have cheese and things like that.
I thought it was just like
But
no carbs.
No carbs.
Well, keto is.
but you can
all-
have all the fat you want. Like you can just like snack down on bacon all day long.
Yeah. So the thing with ketogenic diet is you get your energy from fat and protein
Mhm.
instead of carbohydrates. So you can eat as much fat and protein as you want, but you can't have sugars.
Right.
So what happens is, I've done a lot of research on this ketogenic diet thing. So what happens is, our bodies right now are used to processing carbs for our energy, and that's why we get tired. Because if you have a large supply of fat on your body, once your stomach's empty, it'll start pulling energy from your fat. So with the ketogenic diet, your first week, your first 2 weeks, once you start it, you have this phase it's called ketosis, where you're like a zombie, where your body is like trying to get used to not having carbs and getting used to eating your fat instead, or the fat from your meals. And so the idea is that it takes the fat from your body, the energy from your body, and uses that, and it's more of a level supply of energy that doesn't drop off, whereas carbohydrates, you run out. So, and it's also really good for your brain too, because the oils are really good for the development of your brain. But yeah, so it's high fat,
Do you
high protein.
those oils for your brain? Do you get those from mushrooms?
Mushrooms are like 95% water.
Oh,
And I see you over there smiling, trying to make a joke at me. See you.
yeah.
I
Well,
don't think mushrooms have any oil in them.
yeah. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of mushrooms, except that I found that there are certain mushrooms I do like.
Like,
Shiitake mushrooms and morel mushrooms. I
Why?
like those. I don't know.
because they all kind of taste the same until you cook them, and then you add flavor to them.
Well, I don't really ever eat the mushrooms raw. So those mushrooms that you get like on pizza or in salad, I'm not really a fan of those.
Yeah, those are like button mushrooms.
Yeah, but I found that
Cremini.
shiitake mushrooms and morel mushrooms with steak are really good. I know that you've never experienced
Those are-
that, Lance the vegan, but it's good.
So shiitakes are very expensive, and morels are also very expensive, and morels are supposed to be only Pacific Northwest. Now people are farming them, but morels were like only here for 2 weeks at a certain season of the year.
We used to hunt them as kids.
Yeah, you go hunting. The mountains are really close, tons of morels, but now you can buy them from places, which is kind of lame to me.
So are you in a position where you're like in charge of like obtaining the mushrooms for your place of business?
Being as my restaurant is one of the bigger ones in town, we get a lot of foragers that come, and there's like 3 restaurants in town that will buy them, and they usually stop by the Mark first because we have the budget for it. We can give people the money for these foraged mushrooms, and people will come in. There's mountains like 45 minutes away from us in all kind of directions where we're at, and so there's tons of mushrooms that are just all over the place. So we get people come in, try and sell them to us.
Do you buy them?
Yes.
How much? Well, I
It
don't
depends.
know. Okay, it
So,
depends on
like-
the quality and stuff.
Well, like the price for what we're kind of paying is $12 a pound, which
Okay.
is pretty good. I can't really comment too much more. I don't have that much education on the price market of mushrooms. But what we paid, we just had some people come in and we gave them $12 a pound, and they ended up leaving with like $100
Yeah.
of just like a day's work.
Yeah, there were times when I was a kid where we'd have grocery bags full.
Yeah.
But, honestly, recently, I must be going to the wrong spots or something. I haven't found any recently. Serena, who was on last week on the podcast, she went not too long ago and got a bunch of morels.
Yeah, they're, there's like not a rule to them. Some people say you have to have 3 days of nighttime temperature, soil temperature 50 degrees. So 3 consecutive days of over 50-degree temperature, because it always comes after the snow. You need moisture. But then sometimes that's not true. I have a chef friend from Pendleton who went out about a month ago, and he took his food thermometer with him. And he was temping the ground. The ground was like 45 degrees. He's like, nope, not time yet. But he took his like meat probe,
Really?
food thermometer, stuck it in the ground. He's like, nope, they're not ready yet. It's 45-degree ground.
All right.
I see.
Scientific mushroom gathering.
Yeah, but it's very. I don't think there's rules to it.
Well, I have heard from family members that they like to pop up after forest fires.
Yes.
So
The year after forest fires.
They're like way more prevalent the year after a forest fire.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been last year.
So what is
4 years ago there was a big fire, bunch of fires.
Was it really 4 years ago?
Yeah.
I must be getting old.
so what's it like working in the food industry in a kitchen, like especially a higher end kitchen? What's it like?
Strangely, I get this question a lot. And a lot of people watch Gordon Ramsay stuff.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that.
It is.
It
no
is?
way.
Yes.
No way.
Y'all swearing at each other and doing
Yes.
cocaine and stuff?
Yeah. Not, that,
Turns
that
out.
whole cocaine thing. There's the thing called the front of the house and the back of the house. And but anyways, I'm not gonna talk about that. How dare you?
Sorry.
But I'm not
Cocaine's a heck
saying
of a
drugs
drug.
are bad. I'm not saying drugs are bad. I'm not saying they're good or anything like
I'm
that.
saying drugs are bad.
I'm saying drugs are bad too.
These ones are illegal, so we can't talk about them without getting people in trouble.
Well, we talked about magic mushrooms.
That's true, and those are very illegal. It's like a felony.
Is it? Is it really?
Yeah, it's considered poisoning somebody. If you sell magic mushrooms, if you have a bag.
But if you just give them away, it's fine.
No, if you get.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to talk about. We should have a whole podcast
We
just
already
about drugs.
talked about drugs, though.
But
The
we
very
just talked
first
about
podcast.
we just talked about mushrooms pretty much. It'd be interesting to talk about other drugs.
I'm giving you these dirty looks, Lance, because I'm trying to be serious. I'm sorry. My apologies.
It's not working.
Okay,
No,
but-
it's not.
but so tell us what it's like in the kitchen. You said kind of like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. So my kitchen, we have chef's tables, and so there's a table inside of our kitchen where up to like 10 people, well more than that, but people will come in and eat these coursed out meals, 4-course, 5-course, and they can see the line, they see the food coming out, they see orders coming in, they see waitresses dropping plates, they see the dishwasher dropping plates or pans, they hear all the pans falling.
It's like a behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's right in
But
there.
is it really behind the scenes? If you have one of those events going on, do you really act like you normal, or do you tone everything down?
Do you put the cocaine in the closet?
Yeah, so when a chef's table comes in, you guys think you're
Sorry.
so funny.
Okay, sorry.
So when a chef's table comes in, you can kind of look at them, and you can see. I've been doing this for like 3 years now.
And you can see what type of people they
You
are.
can see, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's some people that come in and.
But like Metal Tuesdays is out the window.
So. Lance. Pushing my buttons. So one thing about having a child is that you run out of patience in other areas of your life.
I see.
Well, he's just extending that. He's teaching you more patience.
There you go. Yeah. I
Okay,
can do
so
that.
you can tell what type of people are coming in.
If you're gonna ask me these questions, anyways.
I want to know the answer.
Yeah. So, we need to get some stuff. Anyways. So you can get a feel for the type of person they are, the type of group they are, and plus you have a menu made. They tell you their allergies, their food restrictions, so you can see that they're not getting alcohol, for instance, and that'll tell you something about the table. Or if they're bringing their own alcohol, if a table brings their own alcohol, that means that they're like alcoholics.
Wait, they're allowed to bring their own
Yeah.
alcohol?
So you can bring.
So, and by like, are we talking just wines or like everything?
So in restaurants that serve wine, there's a thing called a corkage fee. So that means you can bring your own wine in, but for us to open it, it's like $20.
Okay.
It's a corkage fee. In some places, it's like $90 for a corkage fee because you're bringing your own wine and we're missing out on the money of you paying for our wine.
So
right,
guys-
that makes sense
charge
to me.
corkage.
If I ran a restaurant, I would say there's no way you can bring your own booze.
You can only bring wine. You can't bring a beer
But-
or hard alcohol.
But even then, I would say you can't bring your own wine.
Well,
You guys
you-
have a huge selection of wine. You would think that you could just.
Yeah, okay, but for instance, the reason that this is a thing is because
Yeah.
sometimes people will go out for anniversaries and have a bottle of wine that's 30 years old, or maybe they bought this wine on their wedding night, and so they want to come in with that bottle of wine, and that's super cool. The other day I drank
Okay.
wine that was 3 years older than me,
Wow.
and
Was it good?
Apparently it was good, but it tasted like wine to me. But it was
Fair
really
enough.
cool to anyways. But yeah, so corkage fees. Yeah, so but if you were against having people bring their own booze in, you would charge like $100 corkage fee to dissuade them. People are going to want to do it, and if they want to do it, they're going to pay you $100.
I guess that makes
That's how
sense.
that works.
Yeah.
It's
But
like
your
in the-
corkage fee is pretty low.
In
I
the
don't
service
think you can do
industry,
beer.
it's like repairs with our parts is like $75 an hour. Repairs with your parts is like $150 an hour.
Yeah, so it's a business. So if you were to bring beer in, it would be like every beer you get a 6-pack. I think it would be a corkage fee times 6.
No, but what I'm saying is your guys' corkage fee is fairly low then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, ours is I think 15 or $20.
So what if they open it themselves? What if they bring a tool, a corkscrew?
Yeah, you're taking this very literally. You can
just-
open it if you want to.
But there's still the fee, or okay? I don't know. I was seriously wondering.
Yeah, so
I've never brought booze
that's
to
what
a
you guys
restaurant
get.
before.
That's what you guys get for making fun of me. It's too serious.
Okay, so
Gordon Ramsay.
yeah,
We are generally a lot more well behaved when a chef table comes in.
well that makes sense.
So we have a thing when we bring customers in. We bring customers in the kitchen all the time, like prospective chef's table people, family, friends. Just a lot of people are allowed to come in the kitchen. And when we bring them in the kitchen, we say in-house. So the server will yell in-house, which I'm saying in-house. That means that there's people in-house. Like there's people in the kitchen. And so when you hear in-house, if you're cussing, you got to stop.
Okay.
And so we'll get chef's tables that like halfway through the chef's table, they're like, "You guys make some noise. Like you guys are really well behaved. Like F and cuss, and then they'll kind of give us their permission
Yeah.
to be rowdy.
I
And
see.
we do things like they get pictures taken all the time, and we'll photobomb them all the time. We do liquid nitrogen, and so they're filming this thing of liquid nitrogen being poured in, and our line is in the background. They're not looking at us; they're looking at the liquid nitrogen. But we'll dance. We'll just be
Yeah.
behind the line dancing. We'll all be dancing our own certain way.
That's
and
funny.
so I'm hoping that they watch the video afterwards or a year later and finally realize that, hey, that tall guy's dancing goofy in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's chef's tables that want us to play music like
Yeah.
Steely Dan and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that.
Nice.
But yeah, for the most part, when it's busy, chef will yell and will cuss at you and will tell you to cook faster, just exactly like Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, I know my experience of walking in on your kitchen when you guys are working is I don't get the whole in-house call. I get Jasmine's boyfriend is here. That's
Now,
what I get.
Brad's here.
Yeah. No, they say you guys say boyfriend, not husband, even though we're married. Isaac does.
Well, I joke that it's Jasmine's husband/roommate/boyfriend.
Oh yeah, I mean that makes sense.
That was my joke for the longest time. We're just throwing out all the names right now. But yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Jasmine was on the podcast last week, so we can say her name.
But do we know your name? Yeah, we do know your name, right?
Yeah, my full name is on my Twitter,
Okay.
so my name is up for.
Is my full name on my Twitter?
Nope, it just says Lance the Vegan.
Sweet. I can handle that.
I think under your name it says Lance.
That'll work.
Yep,
I'm Lance the Vegan.
Lance the Vegan. So
Elon
if
Musk.
Lance the Vegan okay, actually, what if Elon Musk walked into your business, where you work, and decided to do a chef's table, would you walk up to him and introduce yourself and say that you're a big fan?
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
100%.
You wouldn't just let him be and let him have his dinner?
Nope.
You would walk up and be
here's
like,
the thing.
dude,
So, like,
Yes.
SpaceX gets me hard.
Yes.
it's pretty common
Yeah.
knowledge that like old Muskie is kind of an introvert, right?
But the people he dates, though. The people that he dates
The
are
person that he
Opposite.
No, he
attract.
dated a bunch
Oh,
of
yeah.
people recently, like Amber Heard, and then he's dating this lady who's a DJ.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess maybe you're right, because DJs are pretty introverted, too, you might think.
I don't
Well, it
know.
depends.
It's hard to tell. I mean, I haven't really seen her in public, so just
Yeah,
as a
no,
DJ,
so
yeah.
I have no shame when it comes to that. If I'm a fan of you, so actually an interesting thing, our hotel is kind of the biggest one, so in town. So when
Not kind of, it is.
It is.
literally the tallest building.
Pretty
so-
sure there's a law that says buildings can't be built taller.
Yeah, there's a
Not
Right.
kidding.
a city ordinance, yeah, that says it can't be more than like 9 or something. But so if senators or any sort of famous person was to come into town, they're staying at our hotel. It's just a given. They're not going to stay at the Marriott or anything. They're staying at our hotel. So we have to pass these background checks to get the job there because of that. One time, Reese Witherspoon was at our hotel because her sister was looking at college, looking at going to one of the colleges here.
Uh-huh.
Why are you guys laughing?
Because there's this meme. It's got Reese Witherspoon and just a picture of her holding a spoon. And then it says Reese without her spoon. She doesn't have the spoon anymore. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Completely unrelated.
Oh my goodness. These,
I'm crying.
oh man, I hope
It's
you guys
really-
are watching YouTube right now.
It's really dumb, but it's so
Because
funny.
Brad and Lance are crying. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Anyway, Reese Witherspoon
So, it
went
says-
to your hotel.
Oh my goodness. It's too bad we can't take a commercial break. Lance, the vegan, get it together.
Sorry.
Just turn his mic down for a little bit.
Yeah.
I have a friend in Portland who works at a similar establishment to mine, as in it's the biggest, most well-respected, nicest place in town. And so Taylor Swift is going to tour in Portland, and Taylor Swift's staying at this person's hotel.
Okay.
And so it's kind of the same thing with my town. Like, the more prominent people will stay at my hotel. So it's cool. There was someone thought that a famous person was here. Someone pulled a prank and ordered pizza under a famous person's name at the Mark.
Oh,
And,
really?
and yeah, so it didn't get a lot of publicity. It didn't get on the news, but a lot of people around Walla Walla were like, "Hey, was Britney Spears here?" It wasn't Britney Spears. It was somebody. I can't think of who it was. But Avril Lavigne. I, for some reason, think of white singer
Ooh.
girls.
You know what? We should have a whole episode on Avril Lavigne because she died. And she's been replaced with a clone.
Ooh.
At least that's a conspiracy theory. Oh, we should have had that in the conspiracy theory episode.
I'm just
That
not
very
gonna-
well could be. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna feed into your guys' shenanigans.
Anyway.
Without acknowledging you.
Anyway, well, so
Did you get to meet Reese without her spoon?
No.
Okay.
so have there been any other famous people staying at the hotel since you've been working there that you can talk about?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but if Elon Musk was to come and that's the thing with famous people is if you like that person enough, you don't care if they're around their children. That famous person is like doing something very intimate. You're gonna go and talk to them and ask them for their autograph. That's the price that they pay.
See, well, I disagree with that though. I mean, I think that if I was in your position, and this is just me personally, I'm not saying that your decision to go talk to Elon Musk is wrong. I'm just saying what I would do is I would maybe go introduce myself and say like nice to meet you or whatever, but I wouldn't like ask him for his autograph. I wouldn't ask him for a picture or anything unless he prompted me first.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's I maintain a certain level of professionalism. So I would be
Right.
one of the chefs that would go to the table. Chef's tables have 5 courses, and there's a couple of courses from each station. And there's a salad station, a grill station, and a sauté station in most kitchens. Salad station is cold with cheeses and salads and stuff like that. Sauté is fish and grain. And then grill is your meats. So like we get the opportunity to go to put the dish together and to take it to the table and to explain to them the ingredients in the dish, and we can make up our own dish for the day as long as we can make our own menus, and it can be inspired on whatever you want it to be. And I've done that before. I put like brioche bread on a short rib because I ate at Dairy Queen the day before. And you know how you get that bread with
Yeah.
the chicken strips that
Yeah.
is delicious? Well, I
Yeah.
figured out how to make it.
You figured out how to make the toast with butter?
Yeah, yeah, it was an epiphany for me, and so I put it on the menu, and it was partly someone else's idea, but I actually
Was it my wife's idea?
No,
Okay.
no, it wasn't. No,
It was
Jasmine.
Dairy Queen's idea.
No, I only get to make the menu when Jasmine's not there.
Oh, okay.
So, but when I went to the table to describe, I said that this was inspired by eating at Dairy Queen, and they loved it, and well, it tasted good,
Right. But
which is important.
did they think that it was cute, or they actually were like, oh, okay.
No, yeah, these people, they're into it. They're paying a lot of money for it, and it's a special occasion for them. But they're like intently asking you questions, like personal questions about how long you've been cooking, like where you're from, like about your family life, because they're genuinely interested in like the person that just made, or the people that are a part of. The cooking we do is pretty exceptional, and so like they're like, wow, how did you do this? Like tell me how you made it like this. And a lot of times people will ask us, we'll give the recipes out, but servers will be like, yo, Nick, there's a table that wants to know how you made that. Will you come out? And I'll be like, yep, and I'll tell them.
Yeah.
I'll tell them. And the thing is, you probably can't recreate it at home. I don't think I can sometimes because,
You
Well,
got
the
you got a whole team backing you.
a
up.
whole
Right.
team
And the
special
quality of the
hands.
ingredients, probably.
Yeah. And
Oh, yeah, and the equipment, yeah.
equipment, yeah, because the pans we use are very well conditioned, have been used for like 2 or 3 years, and you can't just get a brand new pan and get the same flavor off of it.
Well, and
Right.
the equipment you use is probably quite a bit more expensive than what you would buy for your home.
Commercial kitchens, yeah.
Yeah, and we have a lot of ingredients like morel mushrooms or truffle mushrooms, and we can get these finger limes that you squeeze them, and little like clear caviar looking sour things come out. They look like a grape, and you cut them in half, and you squeeze out little green caviars out of them. They're called
That-
finger limes.
That's kind of cool. I've
Yeah,
never heard of
That's
that.
amazing.
It's really interesting.
So my mother, which happens to be a viewer, I just found
Of this
about
podcast?
of this podcast. Yeah.
Hi, Lance, the vegan's mom.
Yep.
Hi, Lance the Vegan's mom.
She's pretty amazing. Best mom I've ever had. Anyway, she has been to one of your chef's tables, and she had nothing but amazing things to say. So
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I've been to one of the chef's tables with my in-laws, and it was awesome.
Yeah, we try our hardest to like do the best, because we're stuck behind a stove all day, and we don't get to see anybody. We're forced to make jokes with our coworkers. So when like a fresh face comes in, we're like all about it. So we give them our our attention.
So,
Yes, definitely.
can we talk about Lance's mom for just a moment?
I suppose.
And if you're listening, Lance's mom, I'd like you to know that the Healthy Heart Association just announced that coconut oil is now bad for you.
Inside joke, I'm presuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Ouch.
But that,
Is that true,
But then
what you just said?
Yes. They seriously just announced that coconut oil is bad for you.
Coconut oil is really good for you.
Right. So then
The
According to who?
government is saying it's bad for you now.
So now you understand my distrust of the government?
Yeah, because coconut oil is really good. It's got MCT oil in it.
But again, how do you know that
Triglycerides.
information is true?
A scientist.
So
Do you
I-
trust the scientist? Have you
Well-
met him?
who were the scientists funded by?
Do you guys know what like
Big Coconut?
the big coconut industry complex?
by Almond Joy and Mounds.
We're dumb.
No, but I mean, I'm pretty sure coconut oil is good for you. It's just a joke. But no, but the Heart Association, I think it's called the Healthy Heart Association.
Mm-hmm. Same guys that think fat's bad for you too.
Yeah, they seriously just announced like that. They just added it to their thing that coconut oil is bad for you. But
Just
but
go
they're
ahead and
also
get canola instead.
Shenanigans.
right. But they're funded by people who make vegetable oil and that sort of thing.
Canola and
Yeah, because they said that coconut oil is bad for you, vegetable oil and canola oil is good for you. And you look at who helps fund them, and it's people who make vegetable oil and canola oil.
yeah.
So you start thinking, I think there's a bias there,
Yeah.
you know?
Have you guys ever seen a canola field
Yeah, they're cool.
in bloom?
Yeah,
I've
it's
never
just like
seen them.
yellow. You haven't seen them? They're around
Extremely
here.
Yellow.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe
It's
I
just like
didn't
a-
know what they were.
It looks like a wheat field, but it's just like yellow flowers.
Bright, vibrant yellow.
They're really cool, I
Well,
think,
As a
anyway.
vegan, I probably have consumed it.
You just eat the flowers.
Full nutrition.
So what do you think about vegans, Nick? It's okay from the perspective of somebody in the food industry who likes to cook food, and I know that you prepare meat and that you eat meat. So what do you think
Okay.
about people who want to? What do you think about people who order things who are vegan?
Yeah, no, okay. So I'll give you an example, a little story. About a week ago, we had a chef's table of 6 people come in, and the first person was a shellfish allergy. The second person was no meat. The third person was no meat, no dairy, something else, and the fourth person was no sugar. The fifth and sixth were all right. So we had this table.
So between them, they could eat cardboard.
Yeah, between all of them, they could. Yeah, so we had this table that was all of these different things, and at first it was one of the days where your wife wasn't working, so I was in charge of the menu. And at first I was pissed, and I begrudgingly made their menu for them with all of their goddamn restrictions. So I get pissed off about these things. Because as a chef, I make a meal, and when you say take out this thing, that thing is there for a reason. And
Right. It kind of ruins the balance, right?
ruins the balance. It's there. It's there for a reason. So it's like whatever. It's really frustrating. So I did this table. I sold the table. Put the food out and talked to him. This and that. This and that. And later that night, I was looking back on this, and I thought, I felt blessed because of this table, or I felt in a positive note because they forced me to step out of the box and be more creative with the menu I was making, and with like the restrictions that were placed, I had to be super creative and do things that I normally don't do. So in that respect, like pushing someone outside of their boundaries in like a performance type area, like where you're cooking food or you're making art or you're like making music, like good things come from that. And so like looking back on this crappy ass table, like I was mad, but now I'm happy because I made we all made it work. Okay, so I'm not the only one making the menu. Like other people in charge of saute makes their own menu, and salad makes their own menu too. But yeah, so I felt good that I was pushed. My boundaries were pushed, and
Kind of helped you think outside the box, you think?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
And I would definitely, what you said about the whole art thing, what you guys do is definitely art.
Oh yeah, big time.
As far as a flavor standpoint, and the way you guys plate things is really cool. Can we talk about platings?
Yeah.
So tell me about, do you have a certain method to your platings?
So, just to give you an idea of the type of restaurant that I work at, we're considered a 3-star, but the only reason we're not 4 stars is because we don't have white linens on the tables, and
I didn't know that was a thing.
yeah. So like we have a wine cellar, an on-site sommelier, like a bar. We have these things that consider us to be like the certain waters, our own bread that make us eligible for a 4-star dining establishment. But your question was plating, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
And like, do you have a certain method to your plating? Do you have a certain thing you like to do?
Yeah. So, first of all, most people are right-handed. So when a person that's right-handed eats, they eat a certain way.
How
Like-
dare you assume my dominant handedness?
You know, so for the, you know,
Sorry, continue.
you guys.
I've had a couple beers, man.
You know what we need to do is have a separate podcast that's like comedy.
Wait, that's our after show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So there's some rules that apply to like plating, like
Okay.
you know, there's places that are like meat and potatoes where every single dish has the same sides, like it's a seasonal vegetable and a potato, a baked potato. So there's restaurants where you get all these different kind of steaks, all these different kind of seafoods with the same broccoli potato. So our restaurant, we have different sides for everything. So it's like vegetables and stuff like that and carbohydrates. But we have to consider when we're plating the fact that like when the person's going to swoop their spoon to scoop the food, that they're going to do it from left to right. And so we put oils on the plate, we put balsamic on the plate.
Did you mean from right to left?
Right to left.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right-handedness. Yeah.
You know, well, it depends.
Do you have to like go out and like look at people and see
No,
if they're
no,
left-handed
no,
or
no.
right-handed?
So
or do you
it's-
just assume that everyone's right-handed?
No,
That's the vegan.
well, that's kind of like, you know, he's right. Most people are right-handed,
Right,
so
yes,
it makes
yeah.
sense to make that assumption.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that it was that thought out. I thought it was just like, this looks cool, I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah. So we work with balsamics and oils, and then we also put like chutneys and jams on the plate. So you can put it on top of, like you can put the food just stacked on top of each other and get a lot of height, or you can take the plate and spread it out, and so you can like, oh, I want this with one bite, or I want all three things with one bite, or you can make it so all of it's on one side of the plate, and you know there's like a bunch of negative space. There's like many things that you can think of. So what you're saying, it's art. It's like a canvas. We're pretty lucky we don't have the consistency. We're not, well, the food is consistent, but as far as the plates go out, they don't have to be the same.
Right,
looking.
it's not like Burger King or Jack in the Box.
Yeah. So the
Tomato on top of the lettuce.
yeah.
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 So you can do what you want each plate, right?
Yeah. And so it's really cool because like each person, each cook in the kitchen has their own style, and like I know who made that food by like judging about how it's put together.
Mm-hmm.
And me personally, I like to just kind of change. When I plate something, I don't like to think about it. I just like, I know the 5 ingredients that go on the plate, and I just like, I grab the one ingredient and I do something. I don't think about it. I just like do it. I'm like, okay. And then I just do the next thing and like kind of build on it. But that's because I've been doing it long enough. At first I was like very rigid and like, I'm going to put the rice here every time, the vegetables here every time, and try to make these lines perfect. But now I just,
It's kind of the same thing in the electrical field. I can tell, like, at our company, there's, like, several people that
It's like signature.
do the same thing I do. But if I look inside of a panel, I can usually tell who wired the panel
yeah.
just based on how the wiring looks.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like,
Human.
yeah, it's kind of like with the computers. You build a computer, you can tell who built it. Like, you know, when Sledge builds a computer, you can tell because the cables are really neat and they have a lot of zip ties. When Lance the Vegan builds a computer, the heatsink falls off.
It's never happened.
That's a funny story. Wait, can we tell that story real quick?
Can we
even
talk
though-
about the even taller person?
Yeah, only if
that-
you're eating food. at
I
the time.
picked up a computer and the power supply fell in.
well, let's talk about computers some other time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So, yeah, I didn't realize like the whole right to left thing. I didn't realize that was a consideration, but it
Right.
totally makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, they're paying a lot of money to eat. And so they're expecting more than just good tasting food.
It's an experience as well.
It's an experience. And that's not just the kitchen. That's the servers. That's the hostess, the initial greeting from the hostess. like sets the precedent for the whole night. Essentially, you come in, you see it, and then someone greets you, and they're responsible for kind of setting the tone. You know, if they're lazy or distracted or rude, then they're gonna have a bad night. You know,
Yeah.
so it's not just the cook; it's everybody kind of working together. Most
Right.
definitely,
So, have you ever plated something that you looked at and was like, "Man, that just looks like crap"?
yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, or I'll get like done with a plate and realize I forgot an ingredient, and then have to like put it on there somehow.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, we're just gonna put it here. Like when everything else had a rhyme and a reason, we're just gonna put that just right there. Yeah. No, yeah, it happens frequently.
Yep.
And then, is there one that sticks out in your mind where you're like, "Dang, that was awesome. That was beautiful. I wish I would have taken a picture of that or something"?
Yeah. So I'm kind of a leader in the kitchen at this point, and so I do things, and I see people kind of doing it and varying off of it, which is really cool. But the thing I've been focusing on like really hard right now is using just one side of a plate, like having a whole bunch of negative space, and then just having one side of the plate that you use, very like linear. For me, that's what I'm focusing on. So like, you know, I get to play around with it a lot, and it kind of always changes. But for the most part, I'm like doing different things with just like one side of the plate, and I have things I really like, and if I like it, then I'll probably keep doing it, repeating it for like a week or whatever, you know. Like right now, how I plate the lamb dish, I really really like, and so I kind of make it the same, but then I'll maybe tweak some ladder elements to it and like try it out. But for the most part, it's kind of consistently the same. Right now, anyways. We just did a menu change. And we do about 4 menu changes a year.
Just one for every season.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yep. And that's cool because we rely upon like a lot of the local farms. But what I was saying about how you can just buy mushrooms, you can, for instance, a seasonal fruit is an orange. Like, this is really weird for me to say, and no one's gonna believe me. But what is an orange? It's a
Citrus fruit.
Citrus. Okay, so citrus is it's a wintertime fruit that comes from Florida. And seasonally, it should only be around for about a month in the wintertime. But as you all know, you can get that year-round.
Well, yeah, that's just how the supermarkets work, I think. They freeze them or something, right?
Potatoes are the same. Potatoes
Yeah.
get put in cellars.
Apples too, right?
Apples, I think apples.
You can get a banana anytime you want. You can get corn
Okay.
anytime you want.
All right,
I mean,
so with
there's-
apples, there's like 5 groups of apples you can get all year round, like Granny Smith's, Red Delicious, but there are some certain ones that you can only get in season. But what I'm saying is that
Honey Crisp.
Honey Crisp and like Mountain Rose, there's a whole bunch of really cool apples. But what I'm saying is that there's a move towards making ingredients available all year round. So when there should be a mushroom season exclusively 1 week out of the year where you go out and eat food because you can get morels, you can buy morels now year round because people are farming them.
Like in the hydroponics or whatever.
Yeah,
you-
well,
you
you
can-
can't do mushrooms. You have to do mushrooms in like a composite.
Sure, yeah.
Because they're grown in shit.
Mhm.
But the idea
waste.
is that these things that used to be seasonal are being grown like all year round.
In a
Yeah.
shipping container.
Yeah, so like pomegranates, for instance. Like pomegranates used to be super, like, one of the worst things, like the hardest things to get because their seasons were really short and like tropical storms would affect it and you didn't have pomegranates one year, you know?
Right.
Now
Same thing
you
with
can-
like the cherry harvest. I mean, there's-
Yeah, and now because of advancements in agriculture that I'm not saying are good, you can get these things year round, and it's kind of,
But that's not necessarily a bad thing, right?
I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
If it was up to me, like, there's like,
So is there a difference for you like between like a tomato that's been grown on a tomato plant outside in the sun
yeah.
versus a tomato that's
I
been
could
grown
definitely tell,
in
yeah.
like a shipping container with like lights
shipping
over the top?
container. like a
Yeah.
shipping container buried in the ground,
Yeah,
like
sure.
next to one that grows weed.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Okay,
okay,
so
yeah,
we're-
there's a difference.
We're getting we're running low on time. But one last question to close this out, I think. What is your favorite food? Do you have a favorite food?
What is my favorite food.
Yeah. To eat, not necessarily to make.
How about you?
How about me? That's hard.
Yeah. So
Mine's easy. I know mine.
What's
but
yours?
yeah. What's yours?
Spaghetti carbonara.
Oh, I knew that.
Oh, wow. That's
Spaghetti.
totally vegan.
Say it again
Oops.
slower. Say it again slower and clearer so people understand.
Spaghetti carbonara.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Made me
Uh-huh.
gay for a year.
Damn straight. There's a story.
What's your favorite food, Nick?
My favorite food. I forgot it already. Got me distracted on the carbonara.
Sorry.
Is that pretty good though? You like that too,
Yeah,
right?
it was delicious.
Yeah.
Well, anything with bacon in it.
Yeah,
is-
pretty much.
Yeah.
is good.
Vegan bacon.
Right, vegan bacon.
I'm still really trying to think. This having a baby thing has really worn me out. My mental performance is not as high as it should be.
Is there like a style of food that you like best?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, start
Okay.
with the style.
Yeah. So my thing right now is we have sushi on our menu,
Mhm.
and so we just always have rice,
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
always. And so I'm really fascinated with Japanese food and like the Japanese food that gets served in lunches in their schools because they're like a million times healthier.
Thanks, Michelle Obama.
Everything about like the Japanese culture is way healthier, whatever. But I like to make rice bowls. I like to
Oh.
take sriracha because I make the sriracha in house. I like to
Uh-huh.
take sriracha and make a sauce with some sort of meat and vegetables and put it on a rice bowl. That's my thing.
Oh, man.
Nice.
That's one of my favorites, too. I love that.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, anything like Thai curry over rice is great.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Asian food is delicious.
Asian food is delicious.
Absolutely.
All right. So, I mean, we're pretty much out of time. So, do you have a quote to end us, Nick?
No, but I want to mention that we have expanded. We have many platforms now.
Oh,
so
yes.
we are
There's
available.
like lots of platforms, or they're really small platforms.
So we are available on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play,
Wow.
and we're soon to be available on Spotify.
We applied.
Tentatively.
Yeah, we applied to Spotify. We'll see if they approve us. Everywhere else has approved us, so we'll see.
Yeah, and also we should have Patreon account information down below in the description if you're listening.
And you'll
It
get
is.
you'll get an after show where Brad will explain just how gay he was for an entire year after having spaghetti.
A
So
hint,
if
it's
you
super
are
gay.
if you are listening and not watching, our Patreon is patreon.com/finished business podcast. So go look us up. If you like us, show us.
Yeah, we would love your support. It helps us keep this going.
I have no
Buy
quote.
fancier audio
so
equipment. Yay.
You have no quote?
No quote.
No quote. Well, I guess you are a father now.
Yeah. Wait.
Congratulations.
I have a quote. It's what was it?
Bush did 9/11.
No, not that. Speak softly and carry a large stick.
Is that like Mr. Miller 2014 or something?
Oh, you
No,
inside
that's
jokes.
like Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh,
Much
okay.
love.